for me, as an evangelistic voice for so many years, as the one that would come in for one night or one weekend, whether it was at a concert or a crusade or conference, I saw altars full of people that would say, I want to begin a life with Jesus. And it's a beautiful thing, and we rejoice in that. I'm so grateful for those sort of life-defining moments, the moment of salvation for somebody. It's a beautiful thing. But there was always a burden in my heart about, well, what next? When I pray over them at the altar and they're crying and they turn around and walk away, what are they walking away into? What kind of home are they going into? What kind of city or community? What kind of group of friends? And, I recognize that we're not called to make converts of all nations. We're called to make disciples of every nation. And discipleship takes time. It takes, consistent progress toward maturity or to the end goal of Christ likeness. And so how do we make disciples? And I think that's been a huge part of sort of the thought process, or the driving, one of the driving thoughts that has moved us toward our vision for church. In fact, I would even say Jesus gives his disciples a new commandment. His new commandment is love each other as I have loved you. And he says, by this, the world will know you are my disciples, by the way you love one another. In John 17, Jesus prays for all believers. He starts by praying for his disciples. And then he says, I don't pray for them alone, but for all of those who will believe in me through their message. That's you and me. And then he says, I pray that they would be one, just as you, Father, are in me and I am in you. I pray that they also would be one in us, so that the world will know that I was sent by God. And so twice, Jesus hangs not only our identity as disciples, but his identity as God in the flesh, the Son of God, the second person of the Godhead. He hangs the revelation of his own lordship on the unity of the church, the depth of our devotion and commitment to each other. And so it's interesting because in our evangelistic efforts, we think it's going to be the miracle that God does when we're praying for the sick person, or that it's going to be the lights and the fog machines, or that it's going to be the coffee shop we have in the lobby of the church, or that it's going to be, the Super Bowl outreach with free pizza and wings, or whatever, right? That's going to be the thing that brings somebody to the acknowledgement of the lordship of Jesus. Or we think it's going to be our apologetics, our intellectual or persuasive preaching. Now, I think we should do all those things. I love pizza party outreaches. I think that we should be great at apologetics. We should be able to defend our faith. But at the end of the day, Jesus explains in John 17 that the thing that will help awaken the world to the identity of Christ is the unity of the church. And so I have this suspicion, and I think it was born from trying to read and believe what the Bible says. I have this suspicion that that my ministry will be more evangelistically fruitful if it's a ministry that's birthed from a deep devotion between people and between a group of people and God than it ever would be if we focused all of our resources and energy on reaching more people. And so, I have said that I think there's no more effective evangelistic force than an exalted Christ reigning in the hearts of a unified church. And so I think when we stand together to experience and exalt Jesus with one voice across our cultural boundaries, across our racial boundaries, across generational boundaries and denominational boundaries, what happens is that we become the greatest evidence for the legitimacy of the gospel. And I don't just want to tell the world the gospel. I want to show the world the gospel. And I think that starts in the way that we cultivate family. And so that's why we prioritize family. That's why we prioritize worship, because the Bible says, I've heard it said, it's not in the Bible. I've heard it said that cause creates community, that having a common focus, a common priority, it draws people together. It's why players on the same football team will really fight for each other and really stand up for each other because they have a common goal.
Yeah.
And so what's our common goal as a church? Is it to win the world? Is it to preach to more people? I think, if we come together as family, we've got to have a common cause. And evangelism is critical. It's really, really important. And I spent many years of my life doing it and training other people to do it. But I recognize that there is a day coming, and a day coming soon, when there will be no more evangelism. And what endures in that day is worship. That 100 million years from now will still be lost in loving Jesus. And so I want to help not only build a culture where people are really deeply devoted to one another, but also a culture where the sort of core principle of who we are and what we do is to enjoy and experience Jesus. Like the Westminster Shorter Catechism says, that the chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy him forever. And so we want to see God glorified, not only in the way that we tell people about God's love for them or Jesus' death and burial and resurrection, but we want to see God glorified in the way that we love one another. But we also want to make sure that we commit ourselves to enjoying him and enjoying him forever, because that really is our eternal call.
Hey y'all, we hope you loved this conversation. Here at Young Married Christian, we are on a mission to see a gospel-centered home made available for every single child in the foster care system. There are 400,000 kids in the foster care system, and there are 400,000 churches in America. Wow, that is crazy. This is absolutely a solvable problem, and we want to be a part of it. If you want to join us in that mission, text the word freedom to 833-370-1610.
833-370-1610. 833-370-1610.
I just did it.
And another thing you can do that is really helpful is to smash the like button on this video.
Smash it like Satan's face. Crush it like it's Lucifer's head.
It really helps us a ton, so smash that like button, subscribe to this channel.
That's it.
Smash the like button on this video.